listening to the Mark Bradford Alchemy for Life podcast.
Do you remember training wheels? Well, me too. Well, hey there. I first want to thank anyone who's done customer reviews on Apple Podcasts. So I wanted to thank the latest one, which is Sattva Yoga for the Soul. I probably said that wrong. And she says, thank you with 3 exclamation points. Amazing podcast topics. So very easy on the ears. Especially loved Anastasia. And she's referring to Anastasia Chopoulos. Please continue to use your amazing set of skills to interview and create. Well, thank you for the review. I find that very motivating. Speaking of motivating and speaking of speaking, I want to talk about motivational speakers. Real quick. Now, we're all familiar with them and what they do, and one of the things they typically like to do is tell you about something really, really difficult they've gone through, something like absurdly difficult that they've gone through, they've made it through, and they're on the other side. And what they do is they tell you that sort of thing so that in contrast, you can see that what you need to do isn't that big of a deal. So it's kind of a, hey, I did this massive thing, I went up this mountain. If I can do that, if I can lose 8,000 pounds, you can lose 20. That sort of thing. Now, personally, I've gone through some crazy, challenging, absurd things myself. And I actually touch on that on one of the chapters in the Alchemy for Life Formulas for Success book. If you've picked it up, thank you so much. But just like so many other podcasts that I've done, I'm not going to approach this from that angle. I'm going to do the opposite. So instead of grabbing pom-poms and telling you just how you could be amazing and accomplish these amazing things so that you roll your eyes until they hurt, I'm instead going to tell you today how you can do all these amazing things without, wait for it, moving outside of your comfort zone. Did you even think that was possible? Well, it is. And how do you do it? Training wheels. Let's talk about conceptual training wheels. So the way that you learn to ride a bike, I presume, is that you had training wheels on them, and the training wheels kept the bike upright while you pedaled and got used to it. And then eventually when you got really good at it and didn't seem like you needed the training wheels anymore, the training wheels were removed. Now you can come back to me if you're super motivational and say, well, Mark, no. The moment I learned to ride the bike was when it was taken off and I was pedaling like a mad person and going crazy. That's that magical special moment that I flew out of the nest and I was thrown into the fire and blah, blah, blah. Okay, that might be true, but it might also be true that you were perfectly able to ride the bike and the training wheels just became redundant because they had done their job. That's what I want to talk about now. So since you were able to do that with physical training wheels, let's talk about doing that with metaphorical training wheels. If there's something that you need to do or something you want to do, there's a way to do it without just throwing yourself into the fire. The training wheels typically are either a method or more likely a person. So let me give you an example. Let's use, I want to talk about males and females and how they differ in this aspect. Males typically are not tribal. Males are sort of engineered to be hunters and gatherers. They do that thing and they do it well, and they do what they're told and then they're done. Females typically are much more tribal, which is why there's jewelry parties and there's makeup parties and there's girls' night out, but you don't hear a lot about guys' night out, and so forth. And again, that's sort of a whole nother podcast that we're not going to talk about right now. But if you're a male, you know what I'm talking about. You just go do your thing and you just suck it up. If you're a gal, you know what I'm talking about. There's basically a group for anything and everything you could possibly do, including raising your children, including having a wine. So women in that way are, I guess, lucky, and they certainly get the concept that I'm trying to give you, the concept of training wheels. Because a group can be training wheels, right? Certainly, if you're going to, if this is your first child, you join a mom's group and they all sort of talk about, the trials and tribulations of raising a little one and diapers and toddlers and all that other stuff. So that's kind of your training wheels. If you want to travel and you know someone who's been there before and you can rope them into going with you, well, they become your training wheels, right? Instead of you stumbling around in a foreign country, you're walking around hand in hand, metaphorically or physically, with this other person, and they're showing you the ropes so that you don't make all the quote-unquote dumb mistakes and you just go for it. Now, the second and third time you return, you can take your training wheels off. In other words, you go by yourself, or you go with someone else who's never gone and you become their training wheels. There are a lot of examples of what you can do to have training wheels. Let me give you a few more examples to get your gears turning. If you're going to be a new parent and you have sisters and brothers with kids, now's a good time to be that awesome aunt and uncle who have the kids stay over an awful lot because you get to give them back at the end of the weekend. Kind of like what grandparents do where they fill them with sugar and send them away. I'm not saying that, but you know what I'm talking about. You get to have these kids temporarily and you give them back. Training wheels. If you're in college and you're having difficulty with a class, then you have a study group or you have a tutor. Training wheels. In every case that I've mentioned, none of those people are being thrown into the fire, and none of those people are really moving outside of their comfort zone, are they? If you're the expectant young parents and you decide you're going to have your sister's kids over as guinea pigs, you're obviously going to treat them well. But you're just going to go about your life and kind of bend it a little bit with these kids. You're going to go, oh, okay, they don't like to sit around at a cafe. They want to go do something else. They want to be more active, or they want to do this, or the big, long, elaborate meals I usually make with goat cheese is not something that they really like. We got to go do something else. So you start to bend a little bit based on that, but you're still in your comfort zone as you slowly move out of it. And your comfort zone, instead of you leaving it, it expands. So I'm right when I say you don't really leave your comfort zone because it just kind of comes with you. So by now, I think you get the idea of the conceptual training wheels and that you've used them before more often than you think. And that if there is something in your life that is terrifying you, if you put yourself in the mind of thinking, well, what training wheels can I attach? Sometimes the training wheels have a cost, like a tutor, or a group that you have to join, or an association that you have to join, or a thing that you have to buy, or a person that you have to hire. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur and you need to be organized, sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and hire an assistant or even a virtual assistant who can help you to be more organized. You have to pay for that, and you get what you pay for. But you still go about your business and do your thing while this other person is slowly getting you kindly, nicely, and comfortably organized. So now that I think you have enough information and enough examples, I'd like to give you a little bit of homework. And it can either be homework to think about after you say goodbye, or homework that you can do right now. So you can either pause this and figure it out, or just wait a little longer and do it later. So the homework is, think about something that you really want to do, have been afraid to do, or have thought, I have no idea how to get into that, right? And it could be a new business that you want to do as an entrepreneur. It can be a new job that you want to, a job sector you want to move into. It can be starting a family. It can be a hobby, even travel. Anything that you think that you've wanted to do, but there's a barrier for you. Think about that. And then once you figure it out, because I know there's at least one thing, then think about what would be training wheels for doing that. Okay? Would it be a person you hire? Would it be a friend that you bother? Would it be a family member that you inconvenience? Would it be a group that you join? Or would it be even some books that you pick up on the subject that are kind of expensive? So just do those two things. Think about that thing, and then think about what the training wheel would be. And if you want to really make me happy, then go ahead and pursue the training wheel. And then let me know how that goes, because I really like the feedback. And that's it for today. And as a little bit of a follow-up, If you were listen to my sending yourself a note from the future, and you're one of the people who did it, by now you're seeing the effects of the time travel, aren't you? I won't tell anyone, I promise. I won't tell anyone. But if you did it, awesome, and I know what you're going through right now. And if you didn't do it, you have all the time in the world because, hey, time travel. So do it today then. If you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, it means you missed that episode. Go back and listen to that one. It's all about time travel and sending yourself a note from the future. And it's as crazy as it sounds, and it's as fun as it sounds. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye and thank you. And as a last thing, I want to shout out to my new German friends and fans. According to my chart tracking, I have a good deal of new people in Germany that are listening. So hello. And see you next time. Thank you. Hey, it's me again. Thanks for listening. 2 things for you. If you like this, I'd really love that you rate it on iTunes or Spotify. Would love to have the stars that are appropriate, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And the other thing is, I do have a new book out, and I would love for you to take a peek at it. It's called The Sword and the Sunflower. It's on Amazon as a Kindle as well as a paperback. Thanks. Just a little blurb at the end here. Take care.